Imagine a leader so influential that his thoughts are enshrined in the Constitution, his image omnipresent, and his authority unchallenged. No, we're not revisiting the era of Mao Zedong. Welcome to the reign of Xi Jinping, China's most formidable leader since the great helmsman himself. Look at this kid. Round face, shy smile, probably dreaming of dumplings, not dictatorship. But that little guy, that's Xi Jinping. And he wasn't just any kid, he was a princeling. You see, Xi Jinping's dad, Xi Zhongxun, was a revolutionary rock star, fought alongside Mao Zedong, helped birth the People's Republic of China, and had a career full of high praise and very sudden demotions. Because under Mao, one day you're a hero, the next day you're a counter-revolutionary with a dunce cap. When Xi was just a teenager, his father got politically purged, again, and the family was thrown out of Beijing's elite circles faster than you can say struggle session. Suddenly, young Xi went from privileged princeling to persona non grata. At age 15, Xi was sent to the countryside during the Cultural Revolution to do re-education through labor. Translation? Shoveling poop in a cave dwelling in Shanxi province while being side-eyed by peasants who didn't trust rich boys with soft hands. And now for the curveball, Xi tried to escape. Yes, he ran away from the commune, but like a boomerang with Chinese characteristics, he got caught and thrown into a work camp. Ouch. Imagine going from watching your dad run the country to sharing a flea-ridden mattress and digging latrines for revolutionary cleansing. That's gonna shape a guy. But unlike other disgraced princelings, Xi didn't rebel. He doubled down, joined the Communist Party at 21 after being rejected multiple times, and started plotting his comeback, not with loud protests, but with silent loyalty. Like a student who keeps bringing the teacher apples even after being given detention. This mix of humiliation, hardship, and quiet ambition brewed the perfect cocktail for a man who would later rule with the subtlety of a steamroller. So picture this. It's March 1982. Xi Jinping, freshly graduated and still proving his loyalty, lands his first actual job in politics. Deputy Party Secretary of Jiangding County, Hebei Province. Not Beijing, not Shanghai, no skyscrapers, just fields and a lot of potential. Xi and his co-deputy, Lu Yulan, saw something amiss. Farmers were literally starving because too much grain was being taken by the state. They wrote up a no-nonsense petition to Beijing, pointing out the unfairness, and the top brass agreed. They slashed the county's grain requisitions by a jaw-dropping 14 million kilograms. This was no small potatoes. It was a game changer. With quotas looser, farmers began to breathe easier. Xi didn't stop there. While the household responsibility system was pioneered in provinces like Anhui, Xi introduced it to Jiangding, making it one of the first counties in Hebei to adopt the model. Families were allowed to keep and sell surplus crops instead of surrendering everything to the state. In just 2 years, per capita farmer income skyrocketed from 148 to over 400 yuan, tripling in cash. The county's overall industry and agriculture even doubled in output. Xi wasn't afraid to think beyond grain. He pushed Jiangding to diversify: tourism, TV production, job-creating parks. He lured in talent with the 9 policies for talent, offering profit sharing and free passes even to those with problematic backgrounds as long as they brought value. He rebuilt the Longxing Temple, launched Changshan Park, and even recreated the set of Dream of the Red Mansions, an 18th century Chinese classic by Cao Xueqin that vividly portrays the rise and fall of the aristocratic Jia family, offering rich psychological insights and social commentary on Qing-era society. This drew tourists and infused the local economy with 17 million yuan thanks to TV and culture. Xi was often seen biking through villages, carrying his own bike across muddy riverbeds, eating meals in line, sleeping in shabby housing, and living without any princeling perks. Former colleagues remembered,
He insisted he be introduced simply as county party secretary, no fancy titles. He paid for his own meals, wore army-issued trousers, and learned quickly that if you don't bang on the table, people won't take it seriously.
that wasn't just showmanship, it was political theater that solidified his credibility and trust among everyday people and officials alike. Zhengding became a laboratory for Xi's ideas: agricultural reform, economic diversification, talent recruitment, rural tourism. It wasn't only effective, it became his signature style: quietly radical, locally rooted, but scalable. This success was noticed in Beijing, and the Central Organization Department praised Xi's strategic and inclusive leadership capabilities as early as 1984. These 3 years in Hebei forged a pattern that Xi would follow his entire career: fix on-the-ground issues, grain quotas, farm income, mix ideology and pragmatism, rural socialism meets market incentives, build loyalty and a trusted clique of allies, use results to catapult upward in the party. It was like leveling up in a career RPG, and Zhengding was his tutorial mission. Xi Jinping hits Fujian in 1985, just 32 years old, rocking a clean image and cleaner shoes. But don't let the Boy Scout vibe fool you. Fujian is where Xi levels up from local fixer to national contender. First, he spent 17 years hopping cities like Xiamen, Ningde, and Fuzhou. Not glamorous, but effective. He drew foreign investment, pushed infrastructure modernization, and made business ties across the Taiwan Strait, while navigating one of China's most corruption-prone provinces. However, we shall be careful not to underestimate the collective and policy-driven nature of those achievements. He published Getting Out of Poverty, part memoir, part policy pitch, and crafted a persona: hardworking, incorruptible, and fiercely loyal to the party. He also built his Fujian clique, a trusted network of allies who'd later occupy key roles under his national leadership, though not as important as his later networks. More on that later. In short, Fujian gave Xi his first real taste of power, strategy, and loyalty building. It wasn't flashy, it was foundational. Welcome to Zhejiang 2002. It's rich, private sector fueled, and feels like Wild West capitalism with Chinese characteristics. If Fujian was Xi's warm-up, Zhejiang is his main stage. Xi rolls in and keeps the economy booming. Zhejiang clocks double-digit growth, often near 14% a year. He's seen backing digital entrepreneurs. Yep, Jack Ma's Alibaba was just getting started, even if he's not personally shaping every startup's fate, while also cracking down on shady deals. Balance, baby. And here's the kicker. He keeps preaching, red is the root, clean is the soul, launching high-profile anti-corruption drives even as the province rolls in cash. That Mr. Clean image? It's now Mr. Clean with a briefcase and a GDP obsession. He also pushes party loyalty in private firms, making sure CEOs knew that behind every IPO was a reminder of who's boss. Zhejiang showed Xi could tame markets without spooking the party, and Beijing took note. In 2007, when Shanghai's top dog got sacked in a scandal, guess who got sent in to mop it up? In March 2007, Xi Jinping parachutes into China's financial capital after the previous party boss is ousted for corruption. This wasn't a promotion, it was a stress test, a political cleanup gig with cameras rolling and Beijing watching like hawks. Xi plays it cool. He's noted for his modest style, including the oft-repeated, though likely apocryphal story that he refused a private bullet train and keeps the bureaucracy steady, rebuilds trust, and most importantly, doesn't rock the boat. 7 months later, he's gone, but not because he failed. He passed. with distinction. Outcome: Xi is promoted to the Politburo Standing Committee, China's ruling elite. That Shanghai stint wasn't just a career stop, it was the final green light for his path to the top. Next stop, Beijing, where Xi doesn't just take power, he reshapes it. Beijing, 2012. Xi Jinping steps into the top job and wastes no time flipping the script on how China's been run since Deng Xiaoping. For decades, the party had followed an unwritten rulebook: collective leadership, term limits, retirement ages, no cults of personality. Basically, one-man rule was out and stability was in. Xi read that book, then politely set it on fire. Rule number 1: broken, centralizing everything. Xi took control of nearly every major policy group, from the economy to the military to internet censorship. Previously, these were often led by other standing committee members. Under Xi, they're all coincidentally chaired by Xi. He didn't just lead the party, he became the party. Rule number 2: broken, the ideological upgrade. In 2017, Xi Jinping thought was written into the Communist Party constitution, a move previously reserved for only Mao. Not even Deng got that honor while alive, and it wasn't vague. Xi Jinping thought included exact phrases like, "The party leads everything," effectively enshrining centralized authority as sacred. Rule number 3: broken, term limits. What term limits? In 2018, the two-term limit on the presidency, set up to avoid another Mao-style forever leader, was deleted from the Constitution. Deleted, as in not edited, not revised, gone. Now Xi can rule indefinitely, and anyone calling that undemocratic can enjoy a cozy chat with state security. Friends in high places. While doing all this, Xi installed loyalists in key positions across the military, state security, media, and even tech firms. Many came from his time in Fujian and Zhejiang. Proving loyalty wasn't just a bonus, it was the requirement. Xi didn't just consolidate power, he redefined leadership in the party. He was no longer first among equals, he was just first, full stop. With power locked down at home, Xi Jinping turned his gaze outward. If Deng Xiaoping told China to hide your strength, bide your time, Xi basically replied, "Time's up." And then came the Belt and Road Initiative, a global mega-project that's part trade network, part infrastructure blitz, and part soft power flex. Think highways in Kenya, ports in Greece, railroads in Laos, all roads leading back to Beijing. It's been called China's Marshall Plan, except this one comes with high-interest loans and a side of geopolitical strings. At the same time, Xi's China grew bolder in foreign policy. In the South China Sea, it built artificial islands with runways and radar stations. China says it's for defense. Neighbors say it's suspiciously aggressive. And across the Taiwan Strait, the temperature kept rising. Beijing calls Taiwan an inseparable part of China, full stop. And Xi repeats that reunification is the trend of history. Under his watch, Chinese fighter jets now regularly enter Taiwan's air defense identification zone. Naval exercises circle the island, and state media reminds everyone of the anti-secession law. If Taipei moves toward formal independence, the PLA won't sit idly by. From China's viewpoint, this isn't expansion. It's completing national rejuvenation. From Taipei and much of the world, it looks a lot like a powder keg with a very short fuse. In Hong Kong, the old one country, two systems promise got rewritten on Beijing's terms. And on the global stage, Xi presented himself as a champion of free trade and climate cooperation, especially after the US stepped back. Suddenly, the guy leading the world's biggest one-party state is calling for global openness. Irony? Yes. Strategy? Absolutely. Under Xi, China moved from cautious player to confident power broker. And the message was clear. A new world order is possible, and China wants a say in writing it. Absolute power feels unstoppable until the numbers, the streets, and the outside world start pushing back. First, the economy is losing its mojo. China's growth has slowed to around 5%, and each year, 12 million new graduates chase fewer jobs, leaving youth unemployment stubbornly high. Second, the property sector is trapped in quicksand. Evergrande's $300 billion hole still spooks banks and homebuyers, while long-delayed apartments sit half-finished like monuments to over-leveraged ambition. Third, the population is shrinking. Birth rates keep falling, retirees keep rising, and no decree from Beijing can reverse the math. Fourth, the tech war bites hard. US export controls choke China's access to cutting-edge chips, and self-reliant slogans can't magic 2-nanometer silicon out of thin air. Fifth, public patience has limits. In late 2022, blank sheets of paper became silent megaphones against endless lockdowns. And within days, Xi's zero-COVID policy vanished, proof that even a strong man sometimes blinks. Finally, the global image problem grows. Belt and Road partners worry about debt, Western capitals sanction officials over human rights concerns, and neighbors fortify against an ever bolder Beijing, especially around that ticking powder keg called Taiwan. Xi's power pyramid is impressive, but the ground beneath it is shifting. So how did Xi Jinping go from shoveling grain in rural exile to ruling China with unmatched authority since Mao? Well, step by careful step, Xi shaped his career, survived political turbulence, and rewrote the rules of Chinese leadership. Today, he stands as China's undisputed strongman, leaving a legacy so vast that it's hard to imagine China's future without him. His policies, his ideology, even his image, have left deep marks on every aspect of Chinese society. But here's the catch. Absolute power isn't always absolute stability. Xi's grip may be iron, but beneath the surface, questions simmer. Can one person steer a country as complex as China indefinitely? Will Xi's model of top-down control adapt to economic pressures, social demands, and global pushback? In short, Xi Jinping isn't just leading China, he's redefining it. But whether his era goes down as the pinnacle of Chinese power or a cautionary tale of centralized control, that story is still unfolding. And if you thought Xi Jinping's grip on power was fascinating, wait until you step into the wild, bizarre world of North Korea's dictatorship. Ever heard of a film director kidnapped to make propaganda movies? Or wondered if Kim Jong-un really approves your hairstyle? Spoiler alert, he might. Tap the video on screen now to dive into the strangest, most shocking truths behind North Korea's isolated regime. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one.